In this episode, we're going back to revisit the year 1982 to 1986, where we'll be breaking down the intriguing components of the most recognized and cherished retro television series, Knight Rider. Join Cooper Lee and Kennedy Rizzo this week as we turbo boost into an in-depth commentary on the sheer magnetism of this TV series, what it meant for claiming its rightful place in pop culture, and share our personal memories of when we first saw this memorable throwback. Lastly, we give our honest and raw opinion on why Knight Rider collectively made its mark on history. It is our hope that you enjoy and share this podcast with all your fellow retro buffs.
Okay, Kennard, are you ready to dive into this week's exciting discussion of one of our most favorite retro TV shows of all time?
Oh my goodness, I sure am.
Yay!
I feel that most of the retro topics we talk about are naturally sweet to our mental palates, anyways.
Mhm.
Much like an apple. But I'm uber excited to dive into shows like this one, which is a generous caramel drizzle encasing that apple. So, what are we talking about, Coop?
Knight
Knight Rider!
Rider! We were shameless fans of this wonderful television series, but there's one more person who we know about that probably loved this show a tad bit more than we did. And that was our Henri Kid brother.
It was.
In fact, it is quite the understatement to coin him as a super fan.
Yes. That is quite the understatement, and it's so true.
Oh, yeah.
It's cool because he's chosen and has for years had the Knight Rider theme song as his ringtone. He is a hot mess.
You can say that again. And speaking of intro and theme song, like we can see it in our mind's eye the very beginning of the show.
Uh-huh.
Now we can't deny that intro, that song was nothing short of epic.
Oh, goodness, yes, epic is right.
Mm-hmm.
The intro throughout most of the episodes began with this Knight Rider, a shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist. Michael Knight, a young loner on a crusade to champion the cause of the innocent, the helpless, the powerless in a world of criminals who operate above the law. Then the outro featuring Michael and Kit driving away from the sunset toward the camera, the narration goes on to say, Michael Knight, a lone crusader in a dangerous world, the world of the Knight Rider.
And just something back then, criminals was just an ongoing theme for a lot of shows.
You're right on that.
Criminals.
Back in the 70s and 80s, it seemed that every show had a fantastic opening theme song with an adjoining sequence of montage clips of the show,
Mm-hmm.
like we remember in Knight Rider.
Yeah.
So Hollywood really put more effort and passion into what they did back then. Now, no more.
quite sad, really. Oh. Fun fact, the narration is voiced by the character Wilton Knight, the self made billionaire who rescued and recruited Michael Long to become a field agent for Mr. Knight's self named public justice organization, FLAG, which stands for Foundation for Law and Government. More on the Michael Long story here in a moment.
See, things are already accelerating into the exciting retro discussion we've been waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
One quick note, though, on both of the show's opener and outro. Um, there were quite a few changes to the presentation here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but one of those changes came in season four's outro. Everything else stayed the same, all except,
Spoiler alert.
yeah, spoiler alert. But Kit was updated with some physical modifications that indicated that he was in super pursuit mode.
Ooh, we'll see. Okay, okay. That's epic.
Yes, it is.
This has been a nice setup for our discussion thus far. But now let's get into the meat of our discussion this week.
Sounds good. As fans are already well aware of, Knight Rider is an action crime drama television series created and produced by Glenn A. Larson.
I also remember the Glenn A. Larson production logo at the end of the episodes.
Oh, totally. I do too. The series was originally broadcast on NBC from 1982 through 1986.
Knight Rider stars and showcases the acting chops of David Hasselhoff as Michael Knight, a high-tech modern crime fighter assisted by his ever-loyal supercar, K.I.T.T. Kit was an advanced AI, autonomous, nearly indestructible car. Kit is no doubt totally officially inducted into our Caramel Apple Hero car list.
Kit was bad to the bone.
He was. That is an understatement for sure, Kennedy.
And he is on our hero car list. Totally. But back to Michael. His character was originally introduced as Michael Long, a cop who was shot in the face and nearly killed in the desert and left for dead. As we briefly mentioned before, he was recovered by a self made billionaire, Wilton Knight, creator of Knight Industries and founder of Flag, played by Richard Basehart.
Fun fact, Wilton Knight, the founder of Flag, actually dies in the plot episode. But the actor's voice, however, is heard throughout the series, narrating over both the intro and outro sequences.
Oh.
So, since Michael's face is so severely injured, Wilton Knight directs his doctors to save Michael Long's life, and in the process, to reconstruct his face. This point here is an earlier reference to the pre plastic surgery revolution that's heavily in place nowadays.
Oh, it was. It was much more hush hush and very taboo back then.
It really was.
Mm-hmm.
And with his new identity now as Michael Knight, Michael Long was a mere memory, and now Michael Knight was equipped with high tech crime fighting fare, with a key piece to that high tech awesomeness being Kit.
Michael Knight, as Wilton Knight's primary field agent in Flag, was now part of an undeniable duo tag team along with Kit as his high-tech crime-fighting sidekick.
Fun fact, whenever Michael was away from Kit, he would communicate with him through his advanced wristwatch.
See, Fitbits and Apple Watches were around. Okay, so to you Orchard Archivers, do any of you remember what does the acronym capitals and all capital letters K.I.T.T stand for? Hit us back if you can recall what this means. So Kit was actually a heavily modified, technologically advanced Pontiac Firebird Trans Am with incredible features. For starters, not only was Kit cool, but he looked good too.
And that was a mouthful.
It was.
Say it 5 times fast.
No.
Kit had an extremely durable shell and frame, controlled by a computer with AI. That's lovely and all, but we all know that Kit was real. And when he spoke, he just did and could do so effortlessly. Hey, Kennard, remember one of Mom's friends bought a brand new car back around that time?
Okay, tell me a little more.
And I think it might have been a Chrysler or whatever, maybe a New Yorker at that time. Anyway, we were so excited because it could talk and say, "Your door is ajar."
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes, I do.
We were one step closer to Kit, in our opinion.
Yeah, and I remember too, when we were in it, people would kind of wig out. They were like, "It is talking."
So cool.
We're like, now we can just get this car to look as good as Kid, then it'd all be good.
Yeah, yeah. The silhouette's a slight difference, right? So, from talking to all his other wonderful abilities, that to me was one of the real standout reasons he's one of our favorite hero cars.
Oh, totally. He sure is. Way futuristic concept at play here, being
Hmm.
way ahead of its time with the mention or reference of AI.
Hmm.
Michael and Kid's chemistry as two star protagonists really work for audiences everywhere.
In each episode, while executing a mission for Flag, Michael and Kit were brought into situations where it was inevitable that direct action might provide the only feasible action.
Hmm.
That's how the duo rock and rolled. Kit and Michael Knight, the Knight Rider.
Awesome sauce. That too was an interesting plot setup.
Mhm.
But now let's introduce some of the interesting supporting cast of characters we know and remember well.
Okay, we mentioned how it was Wilton Knight who recovered the then Michael Long, but he was not alone.
Okay.
Devin Miles of Knight Industries was also there and first introduced to Michael. Devin Miles was the head and spokesman of Flag whenever it came under scrutiny and provides Michael with guidance and directives. Devin Miles was played by talented Edward Mulhare.
Ah, Devin.
Mhm.
Devin was always classic, cool, and debonair in how he comported himself. That British accent he had just solidified his character even more.
I agree. His class and such added that James Bond like Grey Poupon feel to the overall story.
Oh, Grey Poupon indeed. Coop, you are absolutely nuts. But that's a very keen observation and an even greater 80s reference. Good job. So, Devin, as the front for Flag, we see it play out episode after episode that he's a very knowledgeable guy when it comes to criminal activities and, and personnel. Some of his intel was acquired from war and prison camps, which helps equip and qualify him in many areas concerning his work for Flag.
But Devon sure had his hands full in dealing with both Kit and Michael, giving poor Devon headaches from all of his ornery antics.
Oh, yes.
You can just hear Devon now when Michael pushed his buttons, through those sharp blue eyes and clenched teeth go, Michael. Even Kit could sense at times when Michael was pushing the envelope and tried his hardest to get Michael to behave himself concerning Devon.
Oh my goodness, this TV series was great.
It was.
One of the best, really, from back then.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We would always look forward to coming inside from playing outside. It was just getting dark out.
Hmm.
And on Friday nights at 9 o'clock, that was that special time to dive into the world of the Night Rider.
Whoa, yeah.
Nostalgia is the best.
Woo, woo. Now, the actual voice of Kit, the autonomous car with AI, was voiced by actor William Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
We were kids then, of course, so we didn't know or even care to make the connection that would cruelly challenge our wild imaginations on this fact. Kit was just Kit. End of story.
In the story.
No, really though, some teens, older adults, and such, no doubt, probably recognize this familiar voice in yet another popular retro 80s show, that being St. Elsewhere.
Saying elsewhere. Yeah,
Mhm.
I believe our parents watched that one from time to time.
They sure did.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, Knight Rider and St. Elsewhere came out the same year. Both aired on NBC Network the exact amount of years, 1982 to 1986.
Very interesting, but
Well, I know what you're about to ask, which leads us into this next fun fact.
okay.
It is known that William Daniels starred simultaneously on both Knight Rider and St. Elsewhere, but did you know that William Daniels actually recorded his lines as Kit on his days off from filming St. Elsewhere?
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about some serious dedication to one's career.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing both shows and apparently doing it well.
Yeah.
William Daniels was doing quite well for himself and he was bankrolling. Stars more often than not had many irons in the fire concerning their careers. They had more organic talent then, so it's not surprising to hear and learn of so many being in high demand for numerous roles at the same time.
So, on that note, I have yet another fun fact.
Okay.
William Daniels also requested not to be credited for his role as Kit's voice.
Oh, simply amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool fun facts right there, Coop. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
Now, although this right here was with his contribution to Knight Rider, that's probably his most recognizable role.
Sure.
So this year too, I'm about to mention was always seriously intriguing to me.
Mm-hmm.
I love big, powerful things, and Knight Rider had one of the baddest semis included in the show.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, well, a couple really, but we'll touch on the other one here shortly. The main semi is rolling in strong representation of flag.
The tailgate of the tractor trailer would lower to where Michael and Kit could roll up into the semi while it's still in motion. They'd leave, backing out the same, and then they'd speed off in the opposite direction of the semi.
Correct. It was so cool too. It was also ultra cool that the logo displayed on its side was a massive knight chess piece.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now, back to the show. Pun intended. So, our next standout supporting character is Dr. Bonnie Barstow, played by Patricia McPherson. She served as a chief engineer in Kit's care.
Oh my goodness, talk about a cool job. Bonnie's kid's mama, so to speak.
I like that.
I do too.
Fun fact, Bonnie was a mainstay character in season one. I honestly thought her stint was longer, but as you said before in previous episodes, Kennard, it's interesting that many different details and facts one can find out when doing research.
I agree. So Bonnie was in season one, but wasn't her replacement named April Curtis donning this role in season two?
Yes, April became the chief technician for Kit, played by actress Rebecca Holden, and she proved to be a decent replacement, But unfortunately, she didn't have quite the same appeal as Bonnie did.
Oh no.
Yeah. Nevertheless, her appearance in the show was light and airy enough, to keep Knight Rider fun to watch while she was on.
April was cool. I liked her.
Yeah.
So since she wasn't bad at all, it didn't affect our interest one iota from wanting to watch the show regularly.
Right?
But the truth is, Bonnie was preferred. And I'd say that's only because she was the one the audience met and saw first in the show.
Yeah. So, an interesting fact or twist here,
Hmm.
Bonnie was let go from production after the first season, as we stated, and she was replaced by April.
Okay.
To capture and keep that sex appeal for the show,
Yeah, they were thinking ahead, weren't they?
they certainly were, much to per usual out there.
Oh, yeah.
And but David Hasselhoff did not dig the change.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and get this, lobbied the producers of Knight Rider to get Bonnie to come back.
Oh, my goodness. He was serious.
I wonder if there were any rumors of any little crush or something.
Hey, don't tick off the Hoff.
So this movement proved successful, and April Curtis was written out of the show, and Bonnie, Patricia McPherson, returned in season 3 to appear throughout the rest of the series to season 4.
So that whole undertaking was a little bittersweet.
Yeah.
Uh, but I'm glad they got it figured out. And, everybody still liked, enjoyed watching the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's always interesting learning some of the behind the scenes shenanigans that go on. But it's also neat to see yet another graceful undertaking the producers decided on in order to usher April out and add Bonnie back in.
Yeah.
I think it's key sparing someone's dignity, even though there's potential contractual disputes involved. That's always key.
Yes. So Bonnie's back.
Okay, good, good, good.
Bonnie was a good character to have included on Knight Rider, handling a very untraditional profession for females at that time. Again, as a female technician or mechanic, to Kit.
Kit needs his mama.
Yes, but her presence on the show was so intriguing, as well as encouraging for all the young female dreamers who were fascinated viewers at that time.
Knight Rider truly was an exciting new show that burst onto the scene back in the early 80s in a weekly Friday night event that targeted young, imaginative viewers everywhere, but especially the younger male demographic, which included our kid brother at the time. We still think this is one of the coolest shows ever.
Yeah. This show was also meant to be fun as well as entertaining.
Hello, they slated it on Friday nights. And Fridays rock.
Duly noted to your point. A lot of people laugh at and or write off Knight Rider, as a corny piece of 80s television fodder, if you can believe that.
I know opinions like that are for the ones holding such views. That's their prerogative.
Yeah.
But it seems that these strong opinions really miss the point on why the show was even presented in the beginning. Some folks take anything, so seriously.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with the show being campy.
Right.
I mean, isn't that what entertainment is all about?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a refreshing escape from the day to day hardships, so there's nothing at all wrong with the show being corny or campy, because that's what we liked about it.
Exactly. There you go. Bingo. And the silly aspects of Knight Rider actually make it just that much more entertaining in adult life.
Mhm.
Knight Rider is an endearing and nostalgic series that finds a way to entertain you despite how ridiculous it all can be. Our kid brother agrees.
So, Michael and Kit How can you not feel that tug and allure of the old days of the golden era when you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
There really was something to Michael Knight, Kit, and Devin. They had a special chemistry that made the show work.
Yeah, like when they dial up Devin and he showed up on Kit's video monitor and goes, "Yo, Devin!" or Michael calling for Kit, "I need you, buddy." And then Kit goes, "Right away, Michael."
Fun fact, series creator Glenn A. Larson actually got the idea for Kit and Knight Rider from watching the movie The Love Bug Rally from 1971.
The love bug. Oh, that's another one of our beloved hero cars.
Yes,
Yeah, we gotta love us some Herbie.
Herbie's adorable.
He is a little sweet thing. Now, Kit was designed by customizer Michael Sheffy, who also was complicit in the design for the DeLorean connected to Back to the Future in 1985.
Yet another hero car.
You said it, Coop. We're hitting them all, aren't we?
Yes. Looks like we need to do a deep dive into the retro orchard for showcasing our selected hero cars of past.
Oh, we sure should. Uh-huh.
Let's get on that, okay?
Stat.
Okay, you orchard archivers. Be on the lookout for this anticipated presentation here soon, right here on our podcast.
Woo woo. Woo woo. So Kit is known for having a roving red sensor on his hood. That was always a cool, fascinating standout feature on Knight Rider.
It was.
Uh-huh.
Fun fact. Did you know that Kit's roving red sensor is patterned after Cylon's roving eye from Battlestar Galactica 1978?
Oh, nuh-uh.
Uh-huh. It also has the same sound effect of it moving as the Cylon's eye made.
That's very interesting, Cooper. Um, I did not know that. And the reason why is I have never seen Battlestar Galactica.
You're missing out. You're missing out.
No, I've heard of it, but I've never actually sat and watched it. I've never seen it, so that might explain that.
Okay, so projects coming up, you definitely need to just check it out.
Okay, I'll put that on my to-do list for this winter.
Good deal. Good watching. You may recall originally that Kit had a simple red square light on the dash that lit up when he spoke. He did get an update or modification, if you will, into his much more recognizable voice modulator consisting of 3 red lines broken into cells, which displayed in a vertical pattern as he spoke.
I remember that. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Fun fact, Pontiac, who carried the Trans Am model Kit was, found itself literally swamped with customer requests for that exact model.
Oh
It had
boy.
T-tops.
Oh, that is so 80s.
Beige interior and red lights on the bumper identical to Kit.
That is so nostalgic. But some of those features, that these are incredible features.
Yeah.
I will have to say that some of the cars back then, even like Kit, like he was maxed out for the time, if you will,
Yeah.
but he really wasn't. So, like you said, yuck, beige interior. Who would do that in a supercar?
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. But it worked for 80s.
Yes.
We'll take it.
Absolutely.
So we've spoken of Kit quite extensively, but in another interesting plot twist in Knight Rider,
Mm-hmm.
there was an episode that stood out featuring Kit's evil twin, an evil Trans Am named Carr, all capital letters Karr.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you Orchard Archivers, we're challenging your memories once again. Similar to Kit's acronym standing for something, do you remember what Karr stood for? Okay. So you can get extra caramel credit if you can recall who voiced Carr in that episode. So here's a hint. It's a well-known voice actor who is much beloved and a staple nostalgic fixture in our memories. Hit us back with your thoughts and let's ignite this fascinating discussion.
Go 80s retro buffs.
That's right.
Get your thinking caps on.
I smell smoke already. Do you, Coop? Oh, no.
Yeah, that's coming from me.
I was going to say, it's us.
But we so enjoy these conversations so much.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Kid Brother will weigh in.
That's right.
We're watching you, little brother.
Woo woo! Woo woo! We also remember well another episode of where Michael Knight had an evil twin as his rival and arch nemesis, Garth Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Garth Knight drove a menacing armored cab over tractor trailer semi armed with 4 missile pods named Goliath.
Ooh.
Garth was actually the criminal. Son to Knight Foundation founder Wilton Knight. So there's a whole neat backstory on how this came about, and we're certain true fans will gobble it up.
Yeah. Garth needed one more powerful weapon to make Goliath nearly invulnerable to convention weaponry, as Kit already was. What was that one agent they needed to make Goliath an unstoppable killing machine?
Well, he just gave us the answer. He was telling you the answer.
Well, I guess he just gave us the answer. But if you don't speak kitty, it's molecular bonded shell plating used on both kit and car.
Aww.
Extra caramel credit. What was Garth's mother's name?
Yeah, does Kitty have the answer again?
He's mum on that right now.
Yeah, so what's the answer there, Coop?
Elizabeth.
Nice. Okay, okay. So no issues for Michael and Kit. They can just turbo boost themselves out of the tricky situation. And it's funny because it looks like that's what they did. After 2 successful appearances containing the Garth Goliath combo, producers naturally wanted to do more episodes featuring this edgy twist. However, it is said that David Hasselhoff lamented that playing dual roles for Michael and Garth Knight was way too demanding for him.
Ah.
Yeah. So we enjoyed those episodes while they played out.
Yeah, it was fun while it lasted. But it's interesting to hear that side of it
Mm-hmm.
because writers' imaginations can be boundless, right?
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
And for the viewers, it's always awesome to see, these things play out on screen.
Mm-hmm.
But to hear the toll it takes on the actors to physically try to deliver, the goods, and that's interesting.
It is. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. It's not always as easy as it seems. So, Kennard, I've enjoyed considering Knight Rider this week.
Yeah, me too.
It's been a long time coming. And we all grew up with this show back in the early 80s as kids, awakening our vivid imaginations of the appeal of a sharp looking black sports car that could talk was simply irresistible back then.
It was. As we already stated, a cool black sports car with a red roving eye that could jump anything it needed to escape or save the day.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everyone loved that car. And Kit, along with Michael, was no doubt the key reason Knight Rider's forever etched into our ever-loving pop culture memories.
It was a special facet in our childhood.
Uh-huh.
Like most other shows back then, kids could watch it without a lot of heavy violence or nudity. And I truly miss 80s shows like Knight Rider.
Mm-hmm.
We'll even take the goofy, campy storyline it presented. It was a great show to simply relax and enjoy.
Oh, so right, Coop. There's nothing wrong with some lighthearted fun.
Yeah.
Knight Rider was just that, a fun hour-long diversion from the hardships and anxieties of daily life, as well as our awesome Orchard retro trek back to the 80s discussing Knight Rider. So to our Orchard Archivers, what were some of your favorite standout episodes and or characters here on Knight Rider? Any favorite or most memorable moments near and dear to you as you watched that forever became etched in your mind? Hit us back to ignite this fascinating discussion. We appreciate your valuable feedback, so keep them coming.
Yeah. What a fascinating discussion about Knight Rider this week.
Facts!
As we said earlier, we are, and especially our kid brother, total fans of Michael and Kit each and every Friday night. And we couldn't wait to see what escapades would unfold. Knight Rider still remains one of the most fondly remembered action adventure television programs of the 80s. We highly agree that the show's impact and success speaks for itself.
And that's it for this week's Orchard Trek Retro. But as you know, there's always more where that came from, so stay tuned. Subscribe, review, and spread the word. See you next time, and thanks so much for listening.